Hey guys, it's Mike here, and today I'm going to be taking a look at and breaking down the new Creed 2 trailer for Creed 2, which is going to be coming out this year on November 21st. Now, I was a really big fan of the original Creed movie that came out, and I'm a big fan of the Rocky franchise as well. I've seen all of the movies a number of times, and I don't really love all of them, especially the fifth one, but ultimately I was a big fan of Creed, which I feel like is one of the best all-time Rocky movies, if we're really going to consider it the same franchise. So with Creed 2, I'm also very much looking forward to seeing exactly what happens in this movie, and, you know, there's obviously been stuff to come out about it, including connections to Rocky 4, so I guess we're going to have to see from this trailer exactly what those connections will mean for the story. So let's get into this trailer. Okay, so it starts off not looking very good, I guess, for Adonis, as he's knocked out on the ground, which is likely going to be a big fight in the movie, and he's wearing those trunks which, you know, Creed and Rocky also wore in the Rocky movies.
We got this.
And here's him waking up in the hospital. He looks pretty messed up here, almost like Ryan Gosling and Only God Forgives at this point, considering how beat up he is. And it's interesting, you know, that they start this trailer off with it seeming like he's losing, so that's probably going to set the tone for the entire movie. And of course, this is his girlfriend from the previous Creed movie.
In the ring, you got rules. Outside, we got nothing.
Here's voiceover of Sylvester Stallone as Rocky as we see Creed training.
Life hits you with all these cheap shots.
And Rocky, of course, you know, at this point in the story, it's really kind of become sadder in many ways for him. You know, as we saw in the previous movie, Adrian had died. Paulie is gone now, too. Rocky even had cancer in the last movie. So, you know, we have this shot of him sitting in the graveyard like in the previous movies. And, you know, I guess it's kind of signifying him waiting for that finish line.
We live in the past. You got people that need you now.
And I guess it seems like now Adonis has his own child with his girlfriend from the last movie, so this clearly is taking place at least around a year after the first one, I would say. So that, to me, you know, shows some real development for Creed as a character, other than just the boxing, which it seems like the voiceover is, you know, further expanding upon.
You got everything to lose. This guy's got nothing to lose.
I ain't got a choice.
Yeah, so this seems to be talking about, you know, the main struggle and conflict that we're going to be seeing in this movie involving what would likely be Ivan Drago's son.
That's the same thing your father said, and he died right here in my hands.
So, of course, that is a recap of Rocky 4, in which, if you haven't seen Rocky 4, obviously big spoilers, same thing for Creed and many of the other Rocky movies, but anyway, in Rocky 4, Apollo Creed challenged Ivan Drago to his first real big fight in the United States, and he died in the middle of the ring because of how strong Ivan Drago's pounds per square inch were in his punching. You know, of course, by the end of the movie, Rocky had brain damage in Rocky 5 at least, which seems to have been completely retconned by this point in the franchise, but, you know, still big ramifications for fighting Ivan Drago, which it seems like he's trying to tell Adonis to basically not get involved in the same thing.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
But you don't think I could beat him?
And there's a really cool moment right there because obviously, you know, this guy is a different monster, like Rocky is saying. You know, he is someone who literally will murder you in the ring with Ivan Drago. You know, it might not have been totally intentional when he killed him, but, you know, he still didn't show that much remorse over it with the whole iconic, if he dies, he dies line. So, you know, I don't think that Adonis is going to be fighting Ivan Drago in this movie, but it seems like he's going to be fighting his son, which is, you know, the battle of the next generation for the sins of the fathers.
I was afraid I couldn't live up to these expectations.
I mean, according to the Creed movies now, it seems like they're presenting Apollo Creed as the most famous boxer of all time, at least, in the United States, which I did think was kind of weird in the original, since, you would think that Rocky would have been more famous since he beat him, since he was a nobody who came out of nowhere and ended up becoming this dominant champion and multiple-time champion. Obviously he's the protagonist of these movies, but obviously this now is about Apollo's son, Adonis, so it's ultimately going to be something that's going to be more focused on him trying to live up to his father, or at least trying to set himself apart from his father as his own real iconic boxer himself.
You don't think you got your validation?
So yeah, in the first one, it seemed like he was going for his own validation, he was going for the championship and everything, but, it's still, in this movie, it seems to be carrying over the themes of not only the first one with his relationship with his deceased father, but also Rocky IV, which a lot of people are split on the idea of this kind of following up Rocky IV in a lot of ways, but, I mean, ever since the first movie, I feel like a lot of us knew this was coming. Some cool training sequences. I really like how they're pushing him into various different spots for training. We're already getting montages from training just in the trailer, so makes me wonder if we're gonna get some real badass Rocky IV style montages. Hopefully the entire movie isn't a montage like that one, but I guess we'll see. And here's him visiting his father's grave. So, again, this seems like it's going to be a more personal story surrounding Adonis and his father.
I want to rewrite history.
Don't pretend this is about your father.
There's Apollo's wife. And here seems to be the big fight that happens later, which I think may also be the same fight that we're seeing here. He's dressed up the same way. Obviously, we can't see the trunks of the fighter that he's facing in this, but, it seems like, there is a possibility, I guess, that he could lose the first fight. I mean, I doubt that the original's opening here is going to be where they basically end the movie. They're not going to end it with him being in a hospital bed, but it's possible that could be at the start, and he faces him, and he's like, who's this guy? And then he finds out who he really is. So that could set everything in motion, his losing here, but this could also be his big comeback fight. And let's see, let me take a look at this actually right here. And as you can see, I believe this is Ivan Drago's son, which obviously we have Adonis right here. I don't see Rocky anywhere up here, but I believe this right here is Dolph Lundgren, who, of course, is going to be in this movie, and he is Ivan Drago. So, looking really forward to seeing what happened to him after the fourth Rocky movie, since, they left that up in the air and they never really revisited it. And I'm really interested to see just how this feud goes down between these two.
Seem like it now, but this is more than just a fight.
Well, yeah, this whole movie is basically coming down to revenge in some ways, so definitely this could be more than a fight. Although right here we could see the Russian text down here in the Cyrillic alphabet, so it's interesting if, they're going to be pulling a Rocky IV again. Maybe he loses the first fight, and then he goes to Russia after some crazy training sequences with Rocky, and maybe his dad's original trainer, whose name I can't recall at the moment, and then they end up going to Russia and having the final fight, kind of like in Rocky IV. Some big pyro, big arena, big fight feel, and here, as we could see, is Drago's son, so, yeah. So yeah, this looks like it's going to be good. It is the first real trailer, so for all we know, we'll get an even better trailer in the future. As far as the story goes, I think it makes a lot of sense in many ways, even though, obviously Rocky IV is maybe the campiest Rocky movie. The entire movie is basically a crazy 80s style montage. You could just put like little music video text at the bottom after like every other scene, and it would would look just basically like a long music video, but I still really enjoy the movie. It's one of my favorite Rocky movies. But when it comes to Creed 2, you know, and Rocky 4, it makes sense that, you know, this would become a more personal story in this. You know, obviously the first one was really Creed's origins, basically how he was the illegitimate son of Apollo, how he was raised by Apollo's wife, how he became a boxer. You know, he wanted to be kind of like his father, even though at first he wasn't taking his father's name. And now in this one, it's going to be more along the ways of basically, you know, he's going to be fighting the man who killed his father. You know, it's going to be a personal story, revenge stories. So it's definitely something that would make sense, because is he just going to let this go? Does he just not care about the man who killed his father in the ring? But, you know, I don't think that we're going to ever really necessarily see him fight Ivan Drago in this movie. What we might end up seeing is Rocky and Ivan kind of have like a rematch, like kind of like what they would do in the Karate Kid, where Mr. Miyagi would beat up the head of Cobra Kai or something like that, you know. But there is another big thing that might happen in this movie. A lot of people are speculating that maybe Rocky might not make it through the movie, and we don't see him in some of these later shots. So I really hope that isn't the case, because after all this, you know, Rocky's gonna have another miserable ending where he just dies and Creed takes over, you know, like, especially after like Rocky Balboa, when, you know, it seemed like it was going out on like a higher note, but everything after that's just kind of gotten more and more depressing and dark. So I kind of hope he doesn't die. I kind of hope he becomes more of like the mentor for the rest of the franchise until it's finally done. You know, this has been going on for a very long time now, a number of decades, but ultimately I'm excited to see this movie. The first one was great, so I really hope this one is as well. But let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Are you looking forward to seeing this movie? Did you like the first Creed? And what's your favorite Rocky movie? Let me know down below. And if you like this content, then make sure to stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and enable notifications so you could see all of my content right away when it comes out.
Yeah, and you better subscribe, enable those damn notifications.